Okay, we're on module 8.2, which is write and evaluate numerical expressions for situations. So you've done things with the numerical expressions before, but you probably have heard them called orders of operation. And that's what we're going to be looking at first. On this left-hand side, I did put the orders of operations down in case you forgot them. So we're performing these left to right. We have parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide from left to right, and add and subtract from left to right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. I like this little thing down here, and I like to write it like this because I know by doing this, I don't have to read all the words that are up there. I just look at the letters and I'm able to do it. Now, when we get down past the P and the E to the MD and the AS, I put the boxes right next to each other because if division comes before multiplication, that's what you're going to do. Same thing with addition and subtraction. From left to right, that's how you're solving them. Okay, let's look at this first one. We have 3 to the third plus 12 times 2. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to do exponents because the first thing we look for are parentheses. There are no parentheses, so we go to the next step, which is exponents. 3 to the third is 27. Now, the exponents are done. Is there multiplication or division? Yes, there is. So we're going to circle where it's at. 12 times 2 is 24. And then we just add them together and we get 51. Now, I'm pretty particular of how I want orders of operations to be solved. We're doing one step per line as we're going down. And you're either circle, underlining, or squaring what you're doing in each step. I should be able to find someone in the hallway or another teacher or a student that doesn't take the math class, and they should be able and follow down to see how you do it exactly. Okay, let's take a look. The first in this one, the first thing you do is find parentheses. There are parentheses. So we're going to circle the parentheses. 5 plus 2 is a 7. And this little square that was there just slides on right down. The parentheses are gone. The next thing we look for are exponents. So 7 squared means 7 times 7, and that's 49. Now, what we have left is 15 plus 32 minus 6 plus 49. The exponents are gone. Is there multiplication and division here? There is not, so we're going to go left to right. We're going to start with 15 plus 32. That's 47. We then do 47 minus 6 and get 41. And then 41 plus 49 and we get 90. Now, I like these problems first before we actually do everything because it shows you how I want it going down all the way. Besides circling or underlining or squaring or whatever, you could also use your highlighter and just highlight what you're doing going down. Okay, now we're actually going to solve some problems. We need to do this with neat handwriting so you're able to understand what you have done. The first thing we always look for is parentheses. There are no parentheses in 10 minus 2 plus 8 squared. So we are going to move on to exponents. There is exponents right here. I'm circling that. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. So I'm going to rewrite it. 10 minus 2. I cannot see what I circled there. Let me erase it really quick so I can see if it's plus or minus. Okay, so we have 10 minus 2, and then I said 8 times 8 was 64, so I'm going to add 64. From left to right, we're going to do the addition and subtraction step. Subtraction can come first in this. It can go either one. So I'm going to circle 10 minus 2, which is 8. I'm going to bring my 64 down, so 8 plus 64. And when we do 8 plus 64, we get an answer of 72. Now, you can use your calculator to check this to make sure you did it right and going down each step, but I am expecting all of this work to be on there. We're going to go over to the right here. I have 10 plus 2 squared times 15. There are no parentheses. So our next thing we're going to ask ourselves is there exponents? There is. We have 2 squared. So 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So I have 10 plus 4 times 15. Okay, exponents are gone. Is there multiplication or division? Yes, there is. 4 times 15 is 60. So I have 10 plus 60, and that is 70. Again, I would always suggest you double check these with your calculator as you're going down through this. Okay, a little bit of a longer one here. We have 20 divided by 4 plus 17 times, in parentheses, 19 minus 6. First thing we look for are parentheses, and there is parentheses in this one. So we're going to circle that. I'm going to rewrite our problem. 19 minus 6 is 13. Now, in this one, we're looking for multiplication and division, and there's both of those. And they're on either side of this addition sign, so we can do these in the same step. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then most of you, instead of working out, you'll probably use your calculator for 17 times 13. And I got 221. I just add that together and get 226. Now, like if you show your parents your notes, they should be able to easily follow to see what you do in each step. That way, when you look back at your notes, you can also see what you did on each step so you can see how you went down and solved it. Our next one, are there parentheses? Yes, so we're going to circle that. 4 minus 3 is 1. And we add what we have left on our problem. Is there multiplication or division? Yes. We're going to circle it. 8 times 1 is 8. And then 8 plus 8 is 16. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, the parts of an expression that are added and subtracted are called terms. A numerical expression is an expression that contains only numbers and operations. So everything we did on the last page are numerical expressions. So here's some example of numerical expressions right here. So I have 7 plus 8 times 2 squared and 25 minus 16 plus 9. And these are examples of numerical expressions. So they only have numbers and operations. They're not going to have an equal sign or anything like that in there, and no letters. Let's take a look at our first problem down here. How many terms does the expression 14 plus 9 have? So I'm going to rewrite that right here since it got separated. 14 plus 9. And let's remind ourselves of what a term is. The parts of an expression that are added or subtracted are called terms. So there are two terms then. We have 14 and we have 9 because they are added together. Because it says the part of the expressions that are added or subtracted are called terms. So we're adding 14 and 9 together. Our next one, how many terms does the expression 6 plus 20 minus 9 have? And again, the parts of an expression that are added or subtracted are called terms. So I'm thinking it's 3. We have 6, 20, and 9. There are 3 because they're added and subtracted. Okay. Consider the phrase, the product of 7 and the sum of 5 and 4. The sum of 5 and 4 is written as 5 plus 4 because the word sum means the answer to an addition problem. The product of 7 and the sum of 5 and 4 is written as 7 times, and then we're just going to put in parentheses 5 plus 4. And we're putting these That's a terrible time sign, I'm sorry. We're putting 5 and 4 in parentheses because I need to find the sum of 5 and 4 before I can multiply it by 7. And I know I'm going to multiply it by 7 because the word product means multiplication. And remember, sum is add. Consider the phrase, the square of the difference of 9 and 3. So first, let's look at this first section. They broke it down for us. The difference of 9 and 3 is written as difference means we're subtracting. So that means we're going to subtract 9 and 3. So that's the first part. Then we have to square that. We're squaring the whole thing. So we have to put 9 and 3 in parentheses and then the square. Oops, let's move that. The reason we have to put it in parentheses is we want the answer of 9 minus 3 before we square it. If you didn't put in parentheses, the square would be next to the 3, and that's not what it's asking. So we need to make sure we use really good reading skills on this. Sometimes it's nice to say them out loud as you're doing them, or maybe talk it over with someone by you. Okay, here's our first long problem. And let's see what we can do with it. A staff member is buying beds for all the dogs in the shelter. There are 10 dogs in one building and 14 in another building. The price of a bed is shown. A dog bed is $12. Complete the numerical expression to find the total cost. So I know that in one building we have 10 dogs, in the other we have 14. So we need to add those together so we can figure out the total. So we have 10 and 14, and then each bed costs $12. So I'm going to multiply that sum by 12. And the next question, B, how many terms are there in the parentheses? So inside the parentheses, I have a 10 and a 14. And remember, a term, if we look back up here, the parts of an expression that are added and subtracted are called terms. So there are 2 in there. What is the first step for evaluating the expression? Remember, parentheses is the first thing. So we are going to be solving the parentheses. After we solve the parentheses, so when we did that, I did 10 plus 14, and that gets me 24. The next thing I'm going to be doing is multiplying. I'm going to take 12 times 24. So some of you might have not have seen this before. When a number is right next to a parenthesis, that means multiplication. And 12 times 24 is 288. Now, that's one way you can solve it. Another way they're asking you to solve it down here is using the distributive property. Now, I think you've been introduced to the distributive property before, and I'm just going to do a little refresher of how to do it. I'm going to rewrite the problem. I like to call the distributive property the friendship property because the number on the outside wants to be friends with everyone on the inside. So what that means is I'm going to multiply my number on the outside with my numbers on the inside. So 12 times 10 is 120. We're just going to drop down that addition sign. And 12 times 14 is 168. When I add those together, I get 288. So it's just a different way to solve the problem. You get the same answer, but if they ask you to use the distributive property, the guy on the outside is forcing friendship with everyone on the inside. Okay, we made it to check understanding. And I guess what do you remember is on this page. So let's see how it goes for us. Consider the expression 20 minus, and then in parentheses, 4 squared divided by 2, close parentheses. How many terms does it have? And remember, the word terms means the part of an expression that are added or subtracted. So in this, we have two terms. Our first term is 20, and our second term is what's on the other side of the subtraction sign. So we have 20 and 4 squared divided by 2 in parentheses. And it's just not 4 squared or 2 because it's together in a parentheses, and we hadn't done one like that before. So if whatever's behind the addition or in front of the addition or subtraction sign is in parentheses, you're going to take that whole thing. And this does not look like a 2. There we go. Identify them. Okay, we did that. Also, identify a quotient in the expression. Quotient means what we're dividing. So we have, I didn't answer this part. So for terms, we have 2. We identified them right here. And our quotient is 4 squared divided by 2 because the quotient is meaning division. So that was 3 steps in that problem. Number 2 is over here on the right. Write a numerical expression to represent the phrase, the quotient of 12 and the product of 4 and 5. So I know I'm going to do 12 divided by product of 4 and 5. Product, I'm writing sideways. Product means we're going to be multiplying. So we're going to multiply 4 and 5. Now, to be able to multiply 4 and 5 together, I have to put a parentheses around it. If I didn't put a parentheses around it, I'd be doing 12 divided by 4 first, and that's not what we want. We want to do 4 times 5 because we're doing the product. We want to know the answer to the multiplication problem before we divide it. And 3, we're using order of operations to evaluate the expression. Remember, first we're looking for parentheses. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit further. That was really far, but we're going to deal with that. Okay, I'm going to circle the first thing we're going to do. Parentheses, I have 7 plus 9, that is 16. So 4, and then in parentheses, we have 16 plus 8 squared minus 7. Parentheses are gone. Our next step is exponents. 8 squared means 8 times 8, which is 64. So I have 4 times 16 plus 64 minus 7. Exponents are gone. The next thing we look at is multiplication or division. And we do have multiplication. 4 times 16. And when we take 4 times 16, you can work this out in your head, on the side of your paper, or in your calculator. I get 64. So I'm left with 64 plus 64 minus 7. All the multiplication and division are gone, so we're looking at addition and subtraction working left to right. So I have 64 plus 64. I get 128 minus 7 equals 121. And then I suggest you always put up the original one into your calculator to check it to make sure you got the right answer. But if you're just putting the answer down and none of the work, I will not give you any credit because that means you have not done anything but typed it into your calculator. Okay, down here, let's zoom out so that way we can, and now I need to zoom back in because I went too far. We have 4 questions on what to remember. So try this before I go over it to see how you're doing. Remember, we're doing work. We're breaking it down step by step, going down. It should look like a triangle, going from the biggest part of the triangle to the very tippy bottom of it. Okay, let's look at the first one. There are no exponents. There's no parentheses. There's no exponents. So we're on to our third step. Is there multiplication or division? Yes. Right here, we're going to circle it, underline it, highlight it, whatever you do to make it pull out. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So I have 25 minus 7. And that is 18. Let's take a look at the next one. There's no parentheses, there's no exponents. There is multiplication, so I'm going to circle 4 times 1. So I have 10 minus 4 times 1 is 4 plus 7. Addition or multiplication and division are done. We're looking at the addition and subtraction step, whichever one comes first. So I'm going to do 10 minus 4 is 6, and 6 plus 7 is 13. Okay, let's look at our next two. I have 8 plus 8 divided by 8. There's no parentheses, there's no exponents. There is division, so we're going to do that first. I have 8 plus 8 divided by 8 is 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. Next one, no parentheses, no exponents, but there is multiplication and division. And you can do these in the same step since there is a subtraction sign in between them. If you prefer to do them in separate steps, you will get the same answer if you work them out correctly. 18 divided by 3 is 6, minus 1 times 4 is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. And there you have it. I'm pretty sure. Let me go to the next one. Oh, no, we got more. What do you remember continued? We got some more stuff going on here. So the first part, write the numerical expression to represent the phrase. So we're not solving this. We're just writing the numerical expression. And let's look at the first one. The sum of 6. So sum means we're adding. We have 6. And the square of 12. So we're adding 6 and 12 together, but 12 has the little 2, which is the square on it. So reading these out loud, reading them with someone else, is really going to help you because you need your top-notch reading skills going on here. And reading it out loud, you can catch things. And as you notice, I'm underlining, I'm circling to help pull those things out for me. The quotient, that means we're going to divide, of 30, and the sum of 5 and 7. Sum means the addition to, not the addition, I'm sorry, the answer to an addition question. So I know when it's like that, I have to put my 5 and 7 parentheses. And I'm going to be doing 30 divided by that because it says I'm doing the quotient of 30 and the sum of 5 and 7. So I have to do the sum before I can divide them. The difference, that's subtraction, of 4 cubed. So 4 cubed is a fourth little 3 on it, and 25. So I'm going to take 4 cubed, and I'm going to subtract it by 25. And our last one in this little section, 5 more than, that's addition. Then we have the product, which is multiplication of 12 and 8. Now, product means the answer to a multiplication question. So I need to find the answer to your multiplication question before I can add 5 with it. So to be able to do that, I need to put my parentheses around it. So I make sure that I do that first. Let's zoom in to our numerical expressions down here. My first one I have, there are no parentheses, there are no exponents, but there is multiplication and addition on this. So our first one, going left to right, is 15 divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I have 7 plus 5. That little dot, remember, is times 2 minus 12. Division's done, but we still have a multiplication. So we have to take 5 times 2. That's 10. So I have 7 plus 10 minus 12. Our next step is addition or subtraction. Going left to right, the addition comes first. So I have 17 minus 12, which is 5. There we go. Okay, this next one we do have parentheses, so I'm going to solve that first. 9 minus 6 is 3. So I have 6, and then 3 minus 2 to the third plus 4. There is an exponent, so 2/3 is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 6 times 3 minus 8 plus 4. Remember, when a number is right next to parentheses, that means multiplication. So this is 18 minus 8 plus 4. Going left to right, subtraction comes first. 18 minus 8 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. Next one we do have parentheses, so I'm going to start with that. 7 minus 6 is 1. So 1 plus 9 minus 2 times 5. We do have multiplication right here, so we're going to do that next. 1 plus 9 minus 2 times 5 is 10. We're going to work left to right now. 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. Last one we have right here, we do have parentheses, so we have to solve that first. So I have 7 plus 2 minus 1 is 1. Put that little 5 next to it, times 8. Our next step is this exponent. So that would look like this. 2, 3, 4. But that would just be 1. So 7 plus 1 times 8. We are then going to do multiplication. So 1 times 8 is 8. 7 plus 8 is 15. And that is it. Let me just take one more chance. Okay, so that was it for that one. You can always go back and watch the lesson if you need to.